Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of 4 Kaiserreich as the French Republic. Let us continue on from where we last left off. So, we're siding with Murdock right now. Can Philippe Pétain stay in power? You're Henry Murdock. Yeah, if Pétain stays in power. Again, I'm not too sure which of these paths we're really going to go down. Again, I'm not joining a war against India. I'm not losing. Is it a defensive war? I think yes. I think it is a defensive war. Which what is that? Is that a negative 20%? Yeah. I mean, it gives a 20% war support boost, but I'm going to say that doesn't really matter too much for me. I can't lose negative 20% stability right now. It's a bit much. Oh, so do we have yeah, resistance occupations. But it looks like we have enough stuff to actually garrison and all that, so that's good for us. The part of our Marshal Petain, lesson of 1914 and next war by General Henry Murdock, has become an instant bestseller among officers and the general public alike. After all, most are veterans. While upper-ranking officers grumble at Murdock's proposal of a sweeping reorganization of the armed forces, all concede the cuteness of his analysis and enjoy his scathing analysis of both Kaiser and the Communards. The Bears' call to action to reform and to be able to stand ready against a strike against the Red at the first opportunity echoes towards the Republic. Many are starting to consider Murdock a potential political figure, and his calls for reorganization are being assimilated with the more general discontentment with the political structures of the nation. Again, I don't know if we're going to stay with Petain or if we're going to go for the Murdock route. And what do you actually have? Political strategy, 5% stability, 125 political power is not bad. A plus 1% weekly stability. Oh, but you are also a flat negative 20, which is quite a bit. We become known as a French state. Okay. Okay, we're not going to get the West Indies Federation any planes, because I cannot afford that whatsoever. Aside from that, we'll go for, let's rebuild French Sudan. La Discord. Despite the lack of support from his patron, Marshal Petain, Charles de Gaulle had his latest book, The Discord, published. The Rooster's colorful descriptions of the confusion reigning among officers in Erville Creek has seen moderate success and has received praise by critics, primarily the newspaper Action Française, as an eminently insightful dive into the issues plaguing the armed forces. However, de Gaulle's call reforms, though certainly not falling on deaf ears, especially among the higher-ranking officers, are overshadowed by the ever-growing popularity of Murdock's ideas. Another lovely negative 10 political power. Because again, why would I need political power? Makes no sense. I don't need that stuff. It's garbage. Okay. The White Fathers. Critical of stability of the regime, the Society of Missionaries in Africa is a Catholic society of apostolic life focusing on evangelicalism and education of Africa. Founded in 1868 in Algiers, they quickly became an integral part of colonial society, adapting to native customs, adopting a native dress, and all while accompanying a tremendous amount of ethnographic and geographic research. They've been on the forefront of French initiatives on the continent, despite their somewhat strained relationship with the increasingly anti-clerical Republican government. They have become staunch advocates for native populations, even accepting native priests, never hesitating to side with them against the colonial authorities when needed, and generally acting as a bridge between the two, earning them the affectionate nickname of White Fathers. In a troubled time since the Revolution, they have become crucial in maintaining French authority over what is left of the empire, working tirelessly to maintain a peace between colonists, exiles, and natives, with the full support of the Marshal's conservative government. Okay, 2% more stability. We're almost in the positives there. I'm very, very happy for that. We love ourselves some positive stability. Yes, we want to complete phase 1 of you. Invite investors. Let's get that going as well. The other Marshal retires. A career soldier and war hero, Marshal Francis d'Esprit announced his retirement today. He was the only other Marshal in France's military beside Petain himself after the death of Joseph Joffre, and served as Petain's right-hand man as Vice President of the Military Council. In charge of military affairs, the Marshal Petain was too preoccupied with more stately business. Now that he is gone, the Marshal is to choose who will serve as his replacement. His two protégés, both war heroes and up-and-coming officers, Charles de Gaulle and Henry Murdock, are expected to be chosen to ascend his highest of responsibilities. Such a promotion will be seen by many as appointing successor to line of Verdun, now an old man. Should Murdock be appointed, it is likely that he would be seen as Petain's successor, and the move would perceive as a clear endorsement of Murdock's plan for sweeping military and political reform. Picking de Gaulle, a much younger man close to Petain and a known sympathizer of the Marshal's unabased distrust of parliamentarism, he would certainly perceive as a way to hold on for power for some more time will better prepare him his eventual heir to succeed him. Alternatively, Petain could simply not appoint a successor to Francis d'Esprit, guarantee the hero of Verdun would once again take an active role in military affairs and centralize power around himself. So basically, I'm guessing if we choose the Gaulle, we go down the Gaulle path. If we go down, I think we're just choosing who's going to be our successor here. Recruit population. More recruit. I mean, recruit population when you're playing a country that's got like none is pretty nice. Division. The core territory is. Thing is, again, all of France, as far as I'm aware. I mean, you're not really that good of a focus tree, to be completely honest. You know what? Let's get Murdock in here. But France itself claims they are not cores. And I think that's something that's really important to point out. So if you get any modifiers that are like, hey, bonus attack or defense on core territory, does not actually apply to, does not apply to the metropole itself. Okay, military sees power in Mexico. That's nice. We could see Mexico join the Entente if they don't go national populist. Today, Muslims all over the world celebrate Eid al-Adha, a feast of sacrifice commemorating the willingness of the prophet Abraham to sacrifice his son Ishmael as an act of obedience to God's command. Before the killing blow fell, however, God sent Archangel Gabriel to substitute the son with a lamb to sacrifice instead. In remembrance of this intervention, each family ritually slaughters an animal and shares it in three. 1/3 going to the poor, 1/3 to relatives, and 1/3 to keep and eat. The faithful then go to the local mosque, and at the conclusion of the Eid prayers and sermons, they exchange greetings, gifts, and visit one another. Considering the holy holiday in the Muslim faith is always accompanied by large festivities and sometimes even occasional, and even the occasion to lower confessional barriers. As such, Muslims invite their non-Muslim neighbors and friends to partake in this uniquely Islamic celebration. Eid Mubarak, thank you for the 5 political power. You know what? I need it. I desperately need it, but thank you. We don't need to take any trains right now. I'm gonna keep throwing political power in this for the time being. Maréchal Merci. Today's morning, Marshal Philippe Pétain signed a short, laconic statement announcing his immediate resignation as head of state of the French Republic. Though his retirement has been carefully prepared by the Lion, and no one in either the government or administration is surprised by this decision, for the people, this is a sudden end to an era. Though some are openly rejoicing, most are simply stunned. After all, the younger among them would never know in a different political situation, and for those old enough to remember the mainland, the Marshal has been central of political life for more than a decade. To prevent any kind of panic or alleviate the fears of the future, the hero of Verdun then decided to give a speech in front of the Assembly, Senate, and National Assembly, and broadcast on radio, citing his old age as the primary reason for his retirement. And surprisingly cheerful, Petain then proceeded to thank all those who supported him in the troubled times since the Grand Jury, in particular veterans, making less than a subtle reference to the bearer of Arras, Henry Murdock, though never naming him directly. His closing statement calling for peaceful transition of power and reaffirming the full trust in the people to continue to fight to retake the metropole, Marshal Petain ended his speech with a simply phrase quoted from the iconic order so many years ago of Verdun: "Courage on les aura, be strong, we will get them." Immediately following by thunderous applause and a long-standing ovation, as the applause died down, a voice resonated. "Marshal merci, Marshal thank you," a breach protocol that all in the room immediately happily imitated. Outside the building, the population had spontaneously come together to say goodbye to the savior of France, regardless of class and status. Exile, Pierre Noirs, or Algerians, and all repeated this cry, thanking Philippe Pétain as he was leaving on foot. As all the frustrations, all the anger of the past few weeks and years, at least momentarily disappeared. So, isn't like Philippe Pétain at this point? He's like 70 years old. Could you imagine in real life if politicians actually resigned at 70? Be wild. Anyways, so Murdock is now in charge. Philippe Pétain, he's going to be retiring very, very soon. I mean, again, we get attack and defense on core territory. I guess actually think about it. Most of our actual country right now is not core. We get bonuses in Senegal, Corsica, and northern Algeria, and that's really about it. The Triumph de l'Ars. After a short break, the President of the Assembly invoked Article 7 of the new restored constitutional laws, In case of vacancy, a new president is to be immediately elected by both chambers of parliament. This special Congress already assembled. No name was proposed other than that of General Jean-Jules Henry Murdock. Elected almost unanimously, General Murdock immediately delivered a passionate speech broadcast on radio, thanking Marshal Petain for his services, reaffirming his commitment to immediately reform and the mobilization of the nation to retake the mainland from the communards. Though some are still anxious that this transition of power is too sudden, and others would have preferred it didn't happen at all, the people already assembled in Algiers to say goodbye to the Marshal, and all those over the Republic glued to the radio broadcast, or glued to the radio post, broke out in spontaneous celebration that lasted long into the night. This morning, only one thing is certain. This surely is the dawn of a new era. Oh, but he's even better for defense and attack. Stability, attack penalty, stability modifier plus 30%. So we're actually going to lose 5% stability off this, right? Surprisingly, no, actually. Okay, that's fine then. So rebuild the French Sudan. So that should mean that Murdock's tree should open up soon. Has research radio. Well, we can get radio for free off of this. So I guess we'll establish... Petain won his fight for influence. So we can't actually do... Petain has won his fight for influence, so I'm actually restored in France. We probably can't actually do this for a while then. Anyway, so I guess we'll establish the Supreme Command. We can then get our radio, which will give us some more compliance, political power, and stability, which would be nice. And soon, I'm assuming we're going to get this unlocked. This focus will bypass when Committee de Salut National comes to power. Alright, I'm guessing they're not... They haven't come to power quite yet. An incident involving a large group of intoxicated soldiers on leave in Iran took place. The men publicly criticized General Murdock and were overheard by civilians who did not take too kindly to the insult. And the two groups rapidly came to blows. Law enforcement rapidly intervened, but not after multiple bars were trashed into fighting and engulfed the whole street. Reportedly, the men called their opponents, by extension the bare crypto-communards, who lead France down the road of parliamentary chaos and perpetual exile. This matter could have been handled by local police, but the cause of the men had been taken up by Action Française, who called the drunkard patriots standing against the interior enemies and demands their immediate release. Local authorities refused to comment on the situation, but the incident is a troubling sign of tensions flaring up within the armed forces. Excellent. That's exactly what we need in a time like this. Technology research. Yeah, we're going to go for our research speed next. Always happy to have it. And how is resistance going right now? We also don't have enough. We don't have enough infantry equipment. Well, how many guns are we making right now? Get rid of tanks. Nope. Get rid of trucks for the moment. Put one more factory on you. Throw these boats to the very bottom of the list. After that, we'll just go and build some convoys as well as... Yeah, let's get some submarines as well. How is our Navy actually looking? It's many, many, many small, Why is it so many, like, small groups? I'm guessing you guys are probably over in the car? You're here. Okay, you're in Corsica. Yeah, just bring the entire Navy together. All of you guys just right now go to Algiers. We have 43 ships, which I think is a pretty decent number, all things considered. The Great Mute Gambles. Wasting no time, the Bear started to putting in place his deep plans for military reform. However, many of those reforms were already controversial atop the chain of command. And now they're being implemented. They have some within the armed forces on high alert regarding the next moves of General Murdock. Furthermore, the call for deep reform by the new head of state is seen by many civilians as a prelude to the restoration of democratic life. Though Murdock has so far not challenged the state of emergency that France has been held in for the last decade, the simmering hope has reached the ranks of the military, among which many already anxious to prospect the military reforms are at best skeptical of the eventual return to parliamentary democracy as war looms ever closer. A worry that their fellow reactionary officers have been quick to exploit, convincing their former Petain loyalist that Murdock was a poor choice over the much more conservative de Gaulle. In any case, this barracks gossip is unlikely to have any deeper consequences. Murdock is a respected theorist and war hero, and the appointed successor of the Lion of Verdun. We could, however, contact the Guild Marshal and ask him briefly to come out of retirement for a speech addressed to the troops, and not societally call them out for more unity among the ranks. So I want to ask him for help. Yeah, just give me a quick speech, please, Petain. Petain, my boy. We have any good admirals? We have you. Torpedo hit chance. How many destroyers do we have? We have 19 submarines, 27. Okay, yeah, so I feel like destroyer leader is going to be pretty good. You know what? Go straight in the hunter killer as well. I'm just thinking, like, we never actually get even, like, see these events. Or not those events. Those, we never get to see the, the Navy bonuses. I never actually use them. The Alliance last war. One last time, March Petain has to keep France together as cracks in the unity of the armed forces are already showing. The Lion has made a surprise appearance at a ceremony honoring soldiers being decorated for their heroic deeds patrolling the Sahara. He gave their well-deserved medals to the men for making a lengthy speech to the numerous assembly. Each and every one of them listened intently to the man who was so recently still dominated the life of the nation, from the humblest of infantrymen to the most dedicated officers present. They all heard loud and clear the message that the Marshal was methodically laying out. Taking the tone of a disappointed grandfather, he compared this current situation on France to a lengthy trek across a hostile desert, where every resource is precious, but the most important thing is cohesion within the group, for men to trust and rely on each other so that they may reach their destination. He strongly praised his successor, reaffirmed his trust in Murdock's ability, and deep reform within the nation and our armed forces, before announcing that he would fully retire from public life, an announcement that was ushered a wave of shock and whispers across the room. Receiving a standing ovation no less sincere than the one he received for his resignation of head of state, Marshal reminded the great call of Verdun one last time. So I'm pretty sure then Murdock's doing pretty well for himself. Right? Like, that seems like a pretty convincing speech. Jacques Bainville, born in 1879, renowned historian, journalist, and one of the founders of the Action Française, has died at 57 years old. Born in a staunch Republican family, he turned to monarchism not out of nostalgia, but out of reflection and comparison. Considering the Republic to be an unstable, fickle, and fundamentally incapable of compete with the stable and unified Germany. A prolific writer, he ceaselessly exiled the French monarchy in his historical works and contributed to many newspapers, simultaneously literary critic and financial analyst. Fleeing to Algeria as the revolution broke out, he wrote a book in the chaotic aftermath, a short book that quickly became immensely popular. Titled The Political Consequences of Peace, Bainville exposes his thoughts of the peace treaty between the CGT and the Germans, stating that just like the Republic is a daughter of the Bismarck, engineer to weaken France, the Commune is a daughter of Wilhelm II, created to rot France down to her very roots so that she might eventually be turned to little more than a vassal state of an inevitable coming war. This thesis has become one of the pillars of the rhetoric of the Action Française, who tirelessly advocate for the fall of one daughter of the Boche so that France might be able to take on another. Many in our nation are sensible to this kind of talk, as anti-German sentiment is certainly not subsidized one bit among exiles, and Bainville's funeral procession is followed by thousands of mourners. With political companions, fellow writers and academics, and eventual even members of the government attending the funeral mass. The Lion of Verdun himself put out a statement honoring the life and works of the historian, now seen as a prophet by many. But I think with that, that's going to be a good time for us to end this episode for today. So thanks to everybody for watching. My name is Anthem. If you enjoyed, my thumbs up. Not enjoying, so thumb down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.